Good morning, students. Today our topic is HTML, and in our previous lecture we discussed some tags related to HTML. So let us take a revision first. To make a table in HTML, we have to write table tag first, and within this table tag there are two tags also, and these are tr, which represent table row, and another is td tag, and within the tr tag we must specify td tag, means table data. So here you can easily see that this is td tag, and then we have to close tr tag, and at last we have to close table tag. So this is the structure to create a table in HTML, and whatever the data we want to put into a table must be specified within that table tag, within that td tag. And suppose we have to print a data, suppose row 1 and column 1. In that case, that data must be specified within the td tag. So that is a table tag, then table row here, and you can see that after that table data. So whatever you want to put data into a table must be specified within the td tag, and you can specify many number of rows as you want within the tr tag. Here for simplicity we take only one row here. You can easily see that, and within that row we must specify at least a single value, and that is row 1 column 1. So you can easily see that. So that is the value which must be specified within the td tag. So these are the tag which used to which are used to create a table in HTML. You can easily see that. So first of all, remember that if you want to create a table in HTML, first of all you should write table tag, and it is a container tag. Within the table tag you must specify tr tag, means you have to represent the row, and then after td tag. Td tag basically represent the table data in a particular row, and always remember that in HTML data is always present in the forms of rows. And so this is the first row, and there is the only row in this case. And if you want to create more than one rows, then just write tr more than one times. So this is a structure of a table. Now in this video, first of all, let us take its table attributes one by one. So using this table structure, we are able to create a table with no border at all. It means the table is created, table will be created, of course, there is no doubt at all, but that table have no border, or we can say that zero border, that is not visible to us. So table actually created, but table will be created actually, but without any border. So if you want to create a border, then you must specify the border attribute, and to specify the table border, you must write here the name of the attribute, and the name of the attribute is border, BORDER. And one more important thing, that you can write in capital letter or small letters, uppercase or lowercase, it doesn't matter. HTML code will successfully executed because it is case insensitive. So uppercase or lowercase, whatever, it doesn't matter for HTML at all. And after that, just write the sign or equal sign, and then the value, and value must be greater than 0. It is not a negative number, because a negative number is not allowed here, and you must mention at least a positive value. And suppose we take a minimum positive value, that is 1, of course, in this case. So just write 1 in this case. So what happens after just put a border attribute is that there is a table, and the table name is there is a table of border 1. It means there is a certain structure of a table with some border with some border, and here border is equal to 1 means there is a visibility of border in this case. If you don't specify that condition, then the by default border is equal to 0. It means there is no border at all, and border is not visible at all. So at least specify, at least give some values to a border. In this case, we can easily see that border is equal to 1. So there is a border for this table. I hope now the concept is quite clear to all of you, and you are able to understand how to create a table. So that is a basic concept of to create a table in HTML. So just write HTML first, and then after tr, and then after td, and there is a close tag here, and all of these tags, table, whether the table, tr or td, or you can easily see that these are all are the closing tag. Closing tags are attached with this. So this is open tag, this is close tag, this is again an open tag, this is again a close tag. So all tags are closed here. So all of them are container tag, not even only a singular empty tag here. So no empty tag here. All of them are container tag because they contain the data or they contain something. That the tag that contains something is called the container tag, and you can easily see that these are the container tags. Table is a container tag, TR is a container tag, PD is also a container tag. So all of these are a container tag. And when we want to specify any condition, or so we have to give an attribute name within the table tag. So border is an attribute of table, and if you want to specify the border of a table, then just write table, and after that the name of the attributes, and then the value of that attribute. And the value of that attribute is that in this program is 1. It means there is something, there is a border for the table also. So this is the basic of a table, to how to create a table in HTML. And for simplicity, we take only a one row. If you want to create more than one row, just after that, where TR tag is closed here, you can specify another TR, and this process is going on until and unless your requirement is finished. So if you want to create 3 rows, for example, in a table, so just write 3 TR in that row, and within that TR, TD should be specified to represent the data within that table. So I hope now the concept is quite clear to all of you. Now let us take some other attributes of students. Our second attribute is border color attribute, and if there is a requirement in table that you want to make a color of your border or table border, then you should specify border color is equal to red. But now there is a very interesting thing that actually we have no border at all, because here border is equal to 0 by default. So you must specify here first of all border. So let us take it first, then okay. Now you can easily see that table border is equal to 1. So there is a border in a table, and here our aim is to give a color to that border, and here we pick a color named red, so mark within a double quotes, of course. So that is another attribute. Border color is another attribute, and spelling is BORDER COLOR, not COLOUR. So that is another attribute of a table, in which we have to in which if our requirement is to color a border, then we should specify border color attribute. And one more interesting thing, that if there are more than one attribute and we have to apply all of them at the same time, then just give one by then after one another. As you can see that there is a border is equal to 1, so this is a attribute, and after that you can easily see that there is another attribute, border color attribute. So after giving some space, we actually write border color and then the color of that border, that is red in this case. So always mark within double quotes here, you can easily see that. So double quotation mark, so you have to specify the value of that border, and here we take red. You can take any color, yellow, green, whatever you want. So that color is reflected, should be reflected after the execution of that program. And now here we have a table and table attribute, table tag, and TD tag. Without these tags, the table creation is not possible at all. And here we have two attributes. First of all, border. So actually we have already discussed about the border. So border attribute is used to identify or used to show the border of a table. If you don't declare it, then by default border is equal to 0. That means there is no visibility of the border at all. But if you want to give a color to that border, so there is another attribute named the border color. So just write border color attribute after giving some space to that border is equal to 1, and that border color is equal to red. And one more interesting thing, this border color attribute should always use with border is equal to whatever the value must be in positive number or positive integer, because by default it is 0, and 0 means there is no border at all, and if there is no border at all, then border color is meaningless, and there is no meaning to give a border color, table border color. So now I think the concept is quite clear to all of you. Here we give a border is equal to 1, so there is a border, at least a border, and border color is another attribute to give border certain color here. So rest the portion is same for the programming. You can easily see that these are the tr, td, and td should be closed, tr should be closed, and td should be defined within the tr tag, and after that when the program is over or table is over, we just close the table tag here. So that is the basic concept of our table tag. So let us understand some other tags of table. So now there is another attribute, background, and you can easily see that this background attribute is given within the table tag. This is a table tag here, so you can easily see that. So if you want to put an image as a background of a table, then it is also possible, and this is possible using an attribute named background. The background is used to mark our image, and for this we have to write background within that table tag, and after that put sign of equal, and here we have to give any value, and you can see that this is a value here, and actually this is the address of an image, and name of the image is img, and the type is .jpg. jpg is a type of an image, and you can easily see that within the double quotes, first of all we already marked here d, then colon, then slash. It means that image is saved into a D drive, and in D drive name of the file is img, and it is a type of jpg file. So actually we put the address of an image after giving the background as an attribute. So just write background first, then equal operator, and the within double quotes just write the address of the image. The address of the image is actually it is in D drive, and the name of the file is img, and type of the file is .jpg. So we can easily see that here. Just write d and then colon and then sign of slash, backward slash, and then img, and then img.jpg. So it is a file name, image img.jpg is the name of file name. So you can easily see that. So whenever you want to put an image into a table and show your image as a background, then you should specify background attribute. So you can easily see that this is the background attribute and used with table tag. So now I hope you are able to understand how to put an image as a background into a table in HTML program. So this is another attribute. Rest portion is same, of course. So there is a tr tag, td tag is also there, and within the td tag we must specify our data within the within it, and after that just tr, and then table. At last we close the table tag. So that portion is remain same, but here our focus is to find out or to give different attribute to a table. And there is a question, another question raised in our mind, that here we simply put an image as a background, but if we want to put a color, a background color, then is it possible using a background attribute, or there is another some attribute for that purpose? So answer is yes, this is also possible, but for that purpose there is another attribute name, and that attribute name is actually bg color. So let us see it. Our next attribute is table bg color. For this purpose, write first of all table tag, and within the table tag you should write bg color, bg color, color. bg color means background color. So background color, and here just write background color. Suppose here if we write red, then red is the background color, and always specify name of the color within double quotes here. I know that there is some problem with markup, so whatever I write here, I just make a pronunciation for that. Just write bg color, color, and then red. So what will happen is actually after putting that bg color attribute, so that is the background color of the whole table. Whatever here we can easily see that we specify the color name as a red, so that is the background color of the table, the particular table, and the rest portion is almost the same as we declare a table. It means that tr tag is there, and after that td tag is there, and then close td tag, and then close tr tag, and after that finally we close the table tag here. So these all are the attributes of a table tag. You can easily see that table bg color is equal to red. It means that these are the attributes which are applied on a table tag. So I think all of you are very much aware to all these tags, td tag and tr tag. And next is a height and width attribute of a table. So if you want to specify, or if you want to give a height and width of a table, then you can easily create height and width of a table using two attributes, and the name of the attributes are height and width. So just write height, HEIGST, height here, and you want to mention a height of a table, then give the value of the height in terms of pixels or in terms of percentage. You have two options, in terms of pixel or in terms of percentage. And if you want to specify the width of the table, then you can write width here, width, and height of the table is suppose here 100, and when we put a value, suppose there is a value and this is the value 100, then 100 is the value of the height of the table, and it is in the terms of pixels, remember that. So it is in the if you want to put the height, or if you want to set the height and width of a table, then for that purpose there are two options for that, two attributes for that, and the name of the attribute is height, HEIGST, height, and width, WIDTH, width. So within the table tag, as mentioned here, table HEIGST equal to 100. So that value should be given within the double quotes, within the double quotation mark. This value is given in the forms of pixels or in the forms of percentage. So you have two options for that purpose, in terms of percentage and in terms of pixels. And as we know that pixel is nothing but only the smallest picture element of smallest picture element. And here if you want to put height is equal to 100, then 100 is the pixels, 100 are the pixels. And if we put just height is equal to 40%, that means the 40% size of the screen. So in same manner we can put the width of a table, and width is also an attribute of a table tag, and we must specify that width attribute within the table tag, and you can see that table, and then just after that height is equal to 100, or it may be 40%, 60%, and when we put in terms of 100%, then it means the full screen. And then width attribute, and after that you can specify width equal to some value, for suppose 10, 20, but it must be in the forms of pixels or in the forms of percentage. So you have two options for that. You can write 40% or 100. So you have two options for that. Value should be given in terms of the pixels or in terms of the percentage. So for using height and width attribute, you can specify the height and width of the table itself. So these are the two important attributes of a table tag. So now, till now we discussed few attributes. First of all, let us revise first, and then go to another attribute. These are, first of all, background. Background is an attribute, and this attribute is used to put an image as a background of a table. And then second is bg color. Bg color is basically used to put a background color of an image. And third is height and width attribute. If you want to specify the height or width of the table, then we must use HEIGST, height and width. And the most important thing about the height and width attribute is that their value can be given in terms of pixels or in terms of percentage. So you can give the value in terms of the pixels or in terms of percentage. So you have two options for that purpose, in terms of pixel and in terms of percentage. And another attribute, and one of the most important attribute, is border. So actually by default table has no border at all, or we can say that border is equal to 0 is the default value of the border attributes. It means that table is not, there is no border for a table, and if you want to put a border of a table, then we must specify, then we must declare border attribute, and there should be always a value which should be a positive integer. It means it may be 1, it may be 2, or more than 2 or 3, whatever you want to put here. That is the border or size of the border. So next is border color. So if you want to put a border color also, then for that purpose there is another attribute named the border color, and we can write it after after the declaration of the border is equal to 1 value, and we can easily write border color is equal to, then we can write any color. And always remember that whenever we want to put a string as a value, then it should be specified within a double quotation mark. But whenever we want to put a number as a value, then there is no compulsion to write within a double quotation marks. So this is the basic difference of these two. So these are the different attributes of a table. So let us take another attribute of a table tag. And there are two more important attributes of a table tag, and as we know that table different attributes are written within the table tag whenever it is directly related to the table tag. Then just after declare the table tag, after that the name of the attribute. And here now we are going to discuss two most important attribute of a table, and that are called as cell spacing and cell padding. These are the most important two attributes of a table tag, and it is asked in so many number of times in our examination that what is the difference between cell spacing and cell padding. And there is another possibility that code is asked related to cell padding and cell spacing, and you have to mention what is the role of cell padding and cell spacing in that particular type of code here. So what is the cell spacing and what is the meaning of cell padding? Cell spacing, as the name suggests, space between different cells. Space between different cells. As we know that table is created using different cells, and by default there is no space at all, or all the cells are directly connected to each other. Where one cell ends, then another cells start from that position. And if you want to make a distance between two different cells or more clear or more visible, then we can use cell spacing attribute. For this purpose you have to write cell spacing. The name of the attribute is cell spacing, CELLSPACING. So cell spacing is an attribute which actually used to define the space between different cells. And second is cell padding. Second content is cell padding. So it is very important, and it is just opposite to that of the cell spacing. So what is the meaning of cell spacing? Cell spacing means the space between the different cells of a table. And when we put the value of cell padding, and value may be 1, 2, 3, so we just write a table cell spacing is equal to 1, or cell spacing is equal to 2, or cell spacing equal to 3. So we must give a positive integer value for cell spacing and cell padding. So cell spacing means space between different cells. And what is the meaning of cell padding? Cell padding is just opposite to that of the cell spacing. It means if we want to put a distance between the data within the cell and the cell itself, or we can say that the boundary of the cell, then we must specify cell padding. So cell padding is nothing but only the distance between the content of the cell and the boundary of the cell. So this can be managed by cell padding attributes. So cell padding and cell spacing are two totally different attributes, but these two terms are interconnected to each other, or sometimes confused. Sometimes students get confused between these two. So cell spacing means the space between the different cells, and cell padding means the space within the cell. So between the cell and within the cell. So within the cell we use the term cell padding, and between the cell we use the term cell spacing, and between the cells we use the term cell spacing, and within the cell we use the term cell padding. So these are the two terms, and we can give any positive number, whether it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or any number, to make a distance between different cells, or distance between the content and the boundary of the cell. So these are the two important, and you can put these attributes after just declaring the table tag, and after that the name of the attribute, just write cell spacing is equal to 1, or you can both specify cell padding and cell spacing at the same time. So just write cell spacing is equal to 1, and then after space and cell padding is equal to 1 to create a space between different cells. So these are the two important attribute, and again I told you that these are the two most important attribute of a table tag: cell spacing and cell padding. And there is a small formula to remember this. Cell spacing means space between cells, and cell padding means space within the cell. Within the cell means space between the content of the cell and the boundary of the cell. So this is the concept of cell spacing and cell padding. And our next attribute is align attribute. As the name suggests, align attribute. So there are three types of alignment of the text, and these are center, left, and right. So as we know that, first of all, if we want to create a table, then just write table tag, and within the table tag we must within the table tag there is a tag named tr tag, which represent table, and after that we use td tag, means table data. And if we want to manage the data according to alignment, three different types of alignment, such as left alignment, right alignment, or center alignment, then there is a tag for that purpose, and the tag name is align. So, and it has three values: left, center, and right, and by default it is left. So if you don't specify any alignment, then it is by default of left alignment in a table. But if you want to change that alignment, then you have possibility to declare it as a center or right, and by default it is left. So generally we don't declare align is equal to left because it is by default. But if you want to specify then you can easily use that align is equal to left, or align is equal to center, or align is equal to right, according to demand of the question. So this is a very important tag as far as the alignment is concerned. But always remember, this tag is related to the td tag of a table, not a table. And first of all, if you want to create a table, we just write table tag, and after that we use tr tag, and finally we use td tag within the tr. Td means table data. So for table data, we must specify whether it is a left alignment is there, or there is a right alignment, or there is a center alignment. So by default it is a left alignment, but if you want to give it as a center or right alignment, then according to that demand or according to that question, there is a center alignment or right alignment is there. So these are the tags, different tags. And in this lecture, basically when we talk about the different attributes, then all these attributes are related to table except the last one, that is the alignment. And for that alignment attribute, name of the attribute is align, ALIGN. And this attribute is used with the td tag, table data tag. So just write td, after that give some space, and then write align, 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 and then after put equal sign, and then after the value of that alignment. And the value of the alignment may be, so different tags are there, and these tags are basically related to table tag. And there is only one tag which we discuss in this lecture, that is the align tag, which actually used to align the different data within the table itself. So there are three types of alignment: center, left, or right. Or default alignment is basically a left alignment. So always remember that different types of attributes are given within the tag itself. So first of all, we have to find out which attribute is related to the which tag. For example, in this case, just a BG color, or the background, or the border, or a border color. These attributes are related to a table. And there is another attribute which we just mentioned here, and it is the align attribute, which must be declared within the td tag. So there is three types of value: left, align, or center. And one more important thing, when there is a value in terms of the string, then it must specify within a double quotation marks. Otherwise, if there is a singular number, then we just write after the equal operators here. So I hope now this is over. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching this video.